Welcome back to the channel, friends. Myself Praveen Torati going to present you a topic now, that is how does chemicals exhibit color change in presumptive tests, or also known as color tests. And this understanding is going to be explained by giving examples of controlled substance, or also known as drug tests. So let's proceed into the topic. Presumptive test can also be known as chemical screening or preliminary test or color test. So let us make it as a chemical screening method. Chemical screening methods are also presumptive tests, commonly used to initiate the process of substance identification. They do provide preliminary confirmation of the presence of either a particular functional group or generic molecular structure. Chemical screening tests produce a distinct color when reagents are mixed with compounds containing specific functional group. Chemical screening tests are discovered by doing various experiments on known samples by identifying their key molecular structure, which are unique to themselves, for identification by reacting only with specific reagents. These experiments involves identification of such chemicals which only react with specific molecules in the question samples. There are some factors which are affecting this chemical screening test. One is concentration of the question sample, how much concentration is there, and what is the contamination of question sample, whether any contamination is there or not. We need to identify naturally, and what is the age of this question sample which is collected, and what are the various conditions, etc. These factors may change the result, and it may not be confirmation for the identification. In crime scene or scene of offense, we may not get the sample in large amount. So concentration and contamination is most common, and if we find such pure matter, we can do the test and get positive results in the scene itself. To avoid contamination or consider the contamination while testing the sample in the question sample, we need to collect some controlled samples too. What are controlled samples? Controlled samples are any type of well-known forensic samples collected either from the scene or introduced in the laboratory to cross-examine the process of examination. This will be used to assure that analyses are properly performed for reliable results. Age of the sample is limitation, and results are not always favorable and reliable, but still the tests are to be done for to check all the possibilities with the sample. So we can understand that chemical screening is a simplified testing process which saves time, resources, and efficient to conduct. Hence, I can say conducting chemical screening is easy and not a rocket science. That means it can be done by any layman with basic knowledge, like a student can also be doing this particular test, like how to use the reagents, and what precautions to be taken while handling the sample, and what are the required materials. If this knowledge is there, that's more than enough. These techniques are generally used by crime scene investigators and police officers as part of the protocol to collect appropriate samples from the scene of offense. For example, in a suspected clandestine laboratory, there are many chemicals, powders, reagents. So our investigators need to identify illicit substance from the scene. So that is what brings weightage to the collection of evidence. Obviously, it is not a professional laboratory. Clandestine laboratory means it is not a professional laboratory. So we cannot find chemicals as per designated containers. So container labeled with sodium chloride may not have sodium chloride in it. It may contain any other substance, which means the scene is highly hazardous. Investigator needs to proceed with precautions, or they need to call chemists if it is highly required for proper interpretation of evidence material. The interpretation is possible by conducting chemical screening. So here our chemical screening is very useful. So chemical screening or chemical color test is going to include the following things. So we will understand how the color change will occur. So what is the concept of color change? Visible light. Normally we can see in our general environment and can also be referred as white light, which contains a mixture of wavelengths from the electromagnetic spectrum ranging from approximately 350 nanometers, that is which is having violet color, and to 750 nanometers, that is having red color. If some of these wavelengths are removed from the white light, it is no longer called as white light. That means we are selecting a specific colored light. All matter is composed of atoms or molecules. If an object is colored, the atoms or molecules absorb a portion of this white light. That portion might be red or blue or orange, anything. So we are distributing the white light and we are selecting only one particular wavelength. The observed light of the object is not the light that is absorbed. It is remaining wavelengths that are reflected but not absorbed. Understand this concept. If a particle is absorbing the radiation, that is not absorbed color which you are seeing. For example, if a red light of 750 nanometers is absorbed by an object, element, or avoiding all other colors from the white light, and the object appears green in color, that is a mixture of reflected wavelengths. For example, just now this one I said, that means green color light is reflected, so I can say it is a plant is in green color, it is absorbing red color and it is reflecting green color. Our eyes are able to perceive green color because plant is absorbing red color. So this is how the color will work in our general environment. Hence, we can apply this concept and knowledge to color changes in the chemical reaction. The ability or capacity of a substance to absorb or not absorb the light depends on its chemical properties such like molecular structure, bond energies, electron arrangement, etc. A change in chemical property can result in change in color. A chemical reaction is any process that results in chemical change. So that is how the change we have seen in last module, that how chemical reaction is going to take place. The reactants will be in one order and when we see the product it will be in another order, but there will be no mass change in it. Therefore, a chemical reaction will produce different color products if it is changes the color absorbing capacities of the reagents or starting material. Initially, we will be knowing what is the color of the reagent and how it's going to change after adding to a chemical compound. Color screening tests produce distinct colors by changing the light absorption properties to identify this substance. For example, primary amines will react differently than secondary amines when mixed with specific reagents. Tertiary amines may or may not react with reagents that produce change with primary or secondary amines. The location of electrons in three-dimensional structures of a molecule is one of the factors that determine the color. Color screening reagents utilize four general mechanisms that produce a characteristic color change. All are based on changing either the location or orientation of the electrons. A characteristic color is produced when the electrons are replaced or electrons added to the quotient sample, or the complete compound is being bonded with the quotient compound. So let us see the diagrams. So here we are having the examples of how chemical reactions will take place. Three examples. In first two examples, you can see that electrons are being shared. In first reaction, the quotient compound is stable with sufficient amount of electrons, but in a coloring reagent there is one deficient electron. So when you are adding the coloring reagent to the quotient sample, the coloring reagent is going to take up the one electron which is there in the stabilized compound. So that is going to change the color of the compound, so that we can be able to identify what is that sample. In second example, similarly you can see the electron is taken up by the quotient sample. So similarly in the third one you can see there is a different reaction, that the coloring reagent is going to bind with the quotient sample. So any of these three reactions are most common in a coloring test, and you can see the color change due to these particular reactions. We are having one example over here. It is not similar to this three of, but it is the combination of two of this. Methamphetamine, that is a derivative of ephedrine, pseudoephedrine. So this methamphetamine is going to react with formaldehyde and sulfuric acid. What is that? Formaldehyde and sulfuric acid combination is of Marquis reagent. This Marquis reagent is going to combine two question samples together by a protonated compound, that is one carbon compound is taken from formaldehyde and one hydrogen atom taken from the sulfuric acid. They are going to bind to each other, and there is a deficiency of one electron, and that particular compound is going to show us the color. So the orange color will be developed due to this particular reaction. So that all the methamphetamine molecules which are there, that particular compounds which are there, those are going to pair to each other, and we will be able to see the color change, and we can identify what is it. Limitations. As I have already discussed, color screening tests are non-specific in nature. They are only used to confirm presence of either a functional group or a characteristic structure in the given question sample is there or not. They cannot be used to positively identify any substance. However, they can indicate the presence of specific class of compound. Unfortunately, not all compounds respond to chemical color tests, and in some instances, the screening tests are significantly more complicated than the confirmatory methods. For example, some tryptamines have no chemical color test, and some color test for GHB is more complicated than the confirmatory examination. These limitations should not prevent the use of chemical color tests. So we have clearly understood how the color change will occur, and what is the role of electromagnetic spectrum in this, and what are the various reactions, and what is the example things. Now we have to understand what is the procedure. So as per the procedure, we have to first understand how to do the physical examination. Physical examination is anything which we do in general with our naked eye. Identify the unknown by its physical characteristics first. That means see the sample and note what is its nature, like whether it is in crystalline state or powder or solid or liquid. And if it is in a crystalline state, how you can rate whether it is a moderate or slight or what. If it's a liquid, you just see the nature and identify whether it is volatile or non-volatile. If it is volatile, you have to be very careful. And you can also test whether it is a irritant type or the corrosive type. So these are going to be included as part of physical characteristics. These things should be noted down. By this, many of the chemists can preliminarily identify potential illicit materials, and also it should be noted. As per the protocol, suspected samples will be tested with testing kits reagents after selecting the unknown compounds by the physical examination. Chemical color tests are done after the physical examination. Chemical tests are generally performed by transferring a small amount of questioned substance to either the well of a spot plate or a testing tube. Next, the test reagent is added to the substance. In some tests, it may be required to conduct in a sequential manner using multiple reagents. In such kind of cases, the results of each step in the sequence are to be noted in observation notes. Positive or negative controls should be run on regular basis to ensure the reliability of the test reagents. That means if you are testing presence of heroin, take one control sample of standard heroin and test it with the reagent. This should be getting a positive result. And take some other chemical compound which is not heroin, so that you should be getting absolutely negative result. So that this procedure is called controlled testing of control sample, which ensures that the reagent is used is predicting the heroin properly and accurately. You should possibly use only minute amount of samples to conduct the test. Firstly, if you should do many tests, you have to divide the sample into many small parts so that you can do the test efficiently. First, only if you are taking much amount of sample and doing only one test, and later on you are seeing for the sample, it will be not sufficient. For example, if you need to conduct a test on suspected drug, Take the sample into 10 different wells of testing tray. At least reserve triple the amount of sample which is consumed for future reference and further analysis in the laboratory. Conduct the test by adding reagents. If expected color change is not seen, then add one more reagent which can identify the compound. And once you have identified what is that compound, or if you want to identify few more compounds in that particular mixture, you can do that, and the left out sample should be preserved very properly. Few compounds get consumed or contaminated and cannot be reused to other reagent test. As it is an unknown compound, use each reagent separately for each sample, so don't hesitate to use the sample properly when it is available. After any presumptive test, it is also important to note down the result along with the photograph of the test result and exact procedure followed during the test. So your other colleagues or any other peers which are also doing the test, they may not be getting the color properly because they may not follow the procedure properly, and you are getting the color, you are doing the procedure properly. So note down the procedure so that it will be helpful to conduct the further analysis also. We have to know how much sample or reagent to be added or what should be the concentration also. Otherwise there will be an error in the result and we can see proper color change or we cannot see proper color change. So this is a summary example for the color test. Marquis reagent, it is a color test reagent widely used to determine the drugs. It was first discovered in 1896 and by Russian pharmacologist Eduard Marquis. It is having two main ingredients in it, sulfuric acid and formaldehyde. So we have already seen this, and what is the percentage? 95 to 98 percentage of sulfuric acid and 100 ml, 40% of formaldehyde in 5 ml. So what is the importance of Marquis reagent is, it is the one reagent which can be used to determine 50 organic compounds. 50 organic compounds can be identified in color tests. So how does it work? Few tests are there, few processes are there here. We can see those. If we are adding the Marquis reagent to the question sample, we are getting green to black color, and then we have to do the test for secondary amines, so that you will be getting the blue color again. It indicates presence of MDMA. If there is no blue color and there is no color, indication of MDA. Similarly, if you are getting orange to brown color, again do the test for secondary amines. So you will be getting blue color. So at that time, indication of methamphetamine will be there. And if there is no color, that is indication of amphetamine or MDA, DMT, tryptamine compound. Similarly, if not green and orange, you are getting no color, then you have to do the test for tertiary amines. If you are doing test for tertiary amines, you will be finding cocaine, PCP, ketamine, methadone. Okay, this is over, and instead of no color, orange and green, you are getting purple color. Then you do mix test and you will be getting green color, and again you do Fordyce test, you will be again getting the purple color, indication of opiates family and controlled substance. So this is the just a process example which I wanted to give. So later on I will also explaining all other tests clearly. It will be very helpful for you. Chemical screening is the most important procedure of forensic chemistry. There are many chemical detection kits available in the identification of drugs, narcotics, poisons, controlled substances, explosives, trace residues of gunshot, dyes, paints, etc. All these are designed and manufactured based on the concepts which I have just explained here. We have learnt about how chemical tests work, principle of color test, advantages and limitations of color test, procedure of conducting a color test. I hope the concept was very clear and helpful to you. Please let me know what are your interest of subjects in the comments so that I'll be making more videos on the topics which are mentioned in the comments. Thank you.